alive. Oh, and see, I can't help
You
it.
can't help yourself. You just can't help yourself.
I just can't help it. You'll notice that I haven't started this one with music. It's 2022. I wanted to pull in some. I was going to say pull in some new leaves. I want to turn over a new leaf, which is normally when we do these shows. I normally have intro music and sing, and I'm always left hanging, left riding solo. No one's high-fiving me. I'm riding dirty. I'm Kid Chameleon. Nobody wants to come along with me on that journey. So
not on the singing journey, no.
Yeah, but it's like I don't know. I'm sure like comedians or actors, when they're going to go action, they must do something beforehand to get them. Maybe that's my mental cue to get me into a place. I mean, they do say, I think it was when you're doing presentations or something, the first sort of 30 or 40 seconds are crucial for your nerves.
Okay,
because you know what it's like if you're stood in the wings, especially if you're on a stage where you got mic'd up and everything. And just before you go, if you haven't spoke for like 20 minutes or even longer, you don't want to go on there and go, "Oh, hi, everyone." hello. You don't want to do that. And so the first sort of 30 to 40 seconds are key. And then I also saw, I think I heard someone about looking up. Anyway, that's not what this is about, is it? It's 2022.
Happy New Year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, have you got any New Year's resolutions? Did you set one?
Not really, but then I tend to do, as we write in the book, big, hairy, audacious goals all through the year anyway. Once I hit them, I then move on to the next one. So I don't really do a New Year. Goals. No. Hairy, audacious. So I don't tend to do the whole New Year, new goal type thing. But yeah, have you?
I set one last year, which I did, and I've rolled into this year. I don't know if that's lazy or not, but what I wanted to do was I wanted to read more. Because I was terrible for go to work, come home, and then when I go to bed, I'll sit on my phone, and that could be sitting on my phone researching something, or often than not, I'll watch some TikToks. TikTok is just an absolute time vacuum. It will suck you in there, and that algorithm is so clever for keeping you on that platform. It's great. So I said to myself in 2020, I want to read more books, not so much fiction books, more factual based books. So something that I can learn. Not that you can't learn anything out of fiction, of course you can, but I wanted to read something practical based, and I think started off with was it Homo sapiens, or what's the second
Sapiens.
one? Sapiens, yes, Sapiens, and then there was a second one to that. I can't
Homo Deus or something.
Yeah, I can't remember the second. I cannot remember the second name of that book, but either way, it was fantastic. And then there was Dave Goggins, and then there was Jordan Peterson books, and then I read about Richard Kulkinski, which I think he was known as the Iceman, Mafia Hitman. That was fascinating. And then
Ordinary Men.
Ordinary Men, fantastic book. That was terrifying and great at the same time. All about ordinary men and what they did during the occupation of Poland and various other places during the Second World War. Then moved towards, like, there was a 48 Laws of Power book. That was fascinating. Again, also terrifying. But if you're watching this, not from a narcissism point of view, but you will deal with people like this who are massively obsessed with power. I think that book is really important to read because it will teach you how to deal with people like that. But then vice versa, if you are a person like that, then maybe you'll pick up some helpful tips in that book of how to manipulate someone. But it's also, I mean, I think we've spoke about this, haven't we? When I read it, I sort of like went back through past instances in my life and thought, oh, I was a cat's claw in that point there. The monkey was holding the cat's claw, and I was the claw putting my hand in the fire and getting burnt while they were fine. So, sorry.
I've got that book on the shelf, actually. I was talking to one of my friends about this because we were both talking about politics, office politics. And both of us have previously always been in a place of put your head down, work really hard, just ignore the politics and you'll do absolutely fine. And since you've mentioned that book and since doing the MBA and stuff, I've really come to the conclusion that doesn't work. You have to have a good awareness of politics and different techniques of influence. And so I've got that book on my, I'm looking at it right now, it's on the shelf. So I will read it purely from a kind of arm yourself, Sharon, to kind of understand a bit more about some of these techniques that people do use and how you can hopefully protect yourself a little bit.
Yeah, in the right culture, you could argue that getting your head down, working hard and making results will help you shine and then climb the hierarchy structure. But more likely than not, you're going
to come across somebody.
Yeah, if you're a little bit switched on, you got a little bit about you and you know how to play the system, with air quotes there for listeners, play the system, you're more than likely to get ahead than someone who just keeps their head down and does a good job. As long as you're doing what you need to. I mean, God forbid, look at British politics at the moment. Boris Johnson, arguably the most powerful man in the UK, if not one of the most powerful men in the world. Is he competent? Depends what you define by competent. He's competent enough to manage to get to the office of Prime Minister. He's not an idiot, is he, clearly, for getting there? Is he holding the office to high regard? That's the debate. Not one for now. We're not here to talk about politics per se. So that's my New Year's resolution into 2022 is to continue to read more books. And I have got a vast list that I've got on Amazon. I'm just looking at my phone now just to give you some ideas of what's in there. In terms of what I want to read this year, I'm not necessarily saying that I'm going to get to read them all this year, but there's things such as there's analyzing people books, there's dark psychology books, which I found was fascinating. It talks about how psychology can be used as a weapon, both good and bad. Stephen Hawking's book, Brief Answers to the Big Questions. You got blockchain books, Japan's infamous Unit 731, which again is a follow-on from Ordinary Men. Then you've got all stuff more around blockchain and cryptocurrencies, artificial intelligence, and Web 3.0, which leads us nicely.
That's it, correct.
Onto what we wanted to talk about, because
I'm afraid that's beyond my abilities.
I absolutely, they're always listening. I didn't even say Siri.
Chill out, Siri.
My watch has got. They're literally going to talk about Web 3, but I went, I'm afraid that's beyond my abilities. Well, if you're struggling,
wants to talk, your watch,
I know he didn't shut up. He didn't shut up. I mean, talk about knowing his audience and his queue. I mean, I know you might be worth $3 trillion, but chill out. I mean, God forbid. But yeah. So I don't know about you, Sharon, but I said on a live before Christmas, there's something happening. There's something big happening, and it feels different to what I've seen in my working life. The only time I could imagine something big like this is happening in a good way. I don't mean like the economic crash of 2008, because that was something big in terms of the business sense. I'm on about an excitement, opportunity, new worlds opening up, wealth distribution changing, business models being completely turned on their heads. I think I was too young to understand it then, or I wasn't. I mean, I was 17. I can liken this to .com boom in 2000. From what I've seen in videos and from what my parents have told me at the time, they'd gone from what's this internet thing, what's that? But that in regards to what's happening now feels just as special and also scary, exciting. What's going to happen? Does my business model need to change? Am I going to miss out? Is there FOMO at the moment? And there's a couple of things that people will have seen, phrases that have been said, which we're going to talk about just to try to help in education in a little bit. We're not going to go like in the detailed cryptography in regards to how cryptocurrencies work or blockchain or anything like that. So if you're there for that, there for this, then or this there for that. here for this, then you're in the wrong place. But it's all about blockchain, NFTs, smart contracts, Web3, Metaverse. You know, what does this stuff mean? What's it going to do to my business? What are the opportunities? What are the pitfalls? I mean, we've been learning very fast, haven't we, in regards to what this can do with our business. And I don't know if you've seen on your social channels or interactions, but it seems to be encroaching more and more. I know the algorithms take into account of what you're looking, but wherever you look these days, you've got people paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for a JPEG.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, the first person I saw talking about this stuff was Tom Ballou. So he started talking about NFTs and why you should. And I thought, okay, that's something I need to look at some point. And then it felt like it took off. And then you've got Snoop Dogg, you've got everyone doing it. It feels like it's just exploded.
And there's reasons for this, isn't there? Because I'm going to share some stuff.
Yeah.
So listeners, obviously you won't be able to see this, but we'll talk about it. Obviously viewers, you can see what's happening here. But there's been a transition over the past, 20 years, 30 years from when the internet first came out. Now, if you're young enough to remember, obviously, Sharon, I know you've had a special birthday, but I won't ask which one that was. 50.
50.
If you're young enough to remember the AOL dial-up tone, do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. And it would come, you'd hear it through this, like if your phone was going to ring, you'd hear it through the speakers first, wouldn't you?
It'd go.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was, but yeah, it would make that noise. But then when someone rang you, you'd hear your speakers go, and then the phone would ring, and you go, right, I know I'm getting a call here.
Yeah.
But I remember the early days of dial-up internet and bloody hell MSN and AOL chat rooms, which are completely unpoliced, by the way. I mean, you used to have a moderator in there in these chat rooms, but they didn't know because you could go into a side private chat, which the moderator wasn't in. So I didn't know if I was talking to a 60-odd-year-old trucker or anything. I'm there, my 14-year-old self going, ASL was the key line that was said in those chat rooms. Age, sex, and location. I'm 14, I'm male, and I'm from Leeds. Are you interested? What you like? Let me scan a picture of my face. I remember putting my face. Do you know the scanners that are like crocodile mouths?
Yeah.
The old school scanners.
Yeah.
I remember opening that scanner and putting my face on it and scanning inside of my face, which was like I was up against some glass and trying to send it to a girl on the other side of the world going, hey, what do you think of this?
Would you not have just done a photo?
Well, no, because in the nice sense of the word, I didn't have, all right, phones at the time, 1994, 95, 96, they weren't camera phones. It was like Nokia 3310s. So I'd either have to scan a picture that my mum had taken of me, but again, back then there weren't digital cameras. So we'd have pictures of holidays, but these are like years ago. And I'm with my mum and dad. I ain't got like a nice picture of myself in my Von Dutch t-shirt and all this sort of thing. So I had to scan my face into a scanner along with various other things, but we won't get into that. And then send them off, and it'd just be horrendous because then you'd get the, like the slow reveal of it going do down your page, and then you go, right, what does this person look like? Oh, it's Brian, and he's 45 from Brighton. Oh, I think something's happening here. I need to raise something with the moderator. But I remember getting a phone. I remember being on the internet in the late 90s, and I was looking at cars. I swear to God, to this day, it's a constant talking point in my house. I was looking at cars. I was looking at cars. And I remember a phone call to the house phone, which was a big deal. Oh, was ringing house phone?
Oh, yeah.
Ringing house phone. Ringing house phone. And my dad going, I could just hear my dad going, what? How much? Put the phone down. Mark! And I instantly start kicking off and crying, going, what? I haven't done anything. Why is my phone bill £200? That was AOL on the line ringing about. I'm going, I'm not looking it out. I mean, I have no idea what I was clicking on. But again, I didn't know anything back then. I was just clicking on all sorts of stuff. But anyway, to cut a very long story short, what we're talking about there, listeners and viewers, is Web 1. So Web 1, between 1991 to 2004, was all about read. So it's all about you go online, you read something that a company's put on there, and then you take that information and you do whatever you want with that. That was Web 1. And then if you remember, Sharon, the early days of Facebook, those sorts of businesses, social media, that came around in around 2004, and this is Web 2, which is known as read write. So not only can you read the information, you can write. I mean, in post information, so you got Facebook and social media, TikTok and things like that. But that I remember Facebook coming out, and it was like, what's this? I don't get it. I think I joined in 2004. I was in the military at the time, and I joined. I think I was on there for 2 years, and I came off because it was just a horrendous place. It was like the Wild West. I was constantly getting spammed by all sorts of grooming things. It was so weird, was Facebook in the early days. It was just bizarre. Did you go on Facebook when it first came out?
I don't know. I must have been on it fairly early, but then I mostly had school friends and then school mum friends. So I don't. Yeah, it's just mainly for me. It was pictures of babies and people's weddings. I think it wasn't anything weird on mine.
I was 22. Yeah, but yeah, all right, okay. You're prim and proper, aren't you? When you were a 22-year-old squaddy and all your mates are squaddies, the amount of things we're clicking on and sending and getting sent is probably something altogether different.
Might have been a bit different.
Those early days of Facebook were fascinating, but we're sort of like it feels like it came to a head with I don't know what I'm doing here with my hands, but it came to a head with TikTok. You know, TikTok's come about, hasn't it? It hasn't been around that long, and I've thoroughly enjoyed TikTok. I think it's great. I mean, this is me pausing for you to jump in here, Sharon, to say I like TikTok and there's other things that I like. But you just
I didn't know if you had a lag or something then. I was like, oh, is he all right? Yes, no, I agree. And I like that there's such a variation on there. And it's a mixture of fun and intelligence and educational stuff. But yeah, it's all owned by the person. It's completely different.
Well, what we could do, we could play a game here, which we won't play because I don't want to embarrass you or myself. And we could say, let's stream your For You page and see what videos come up, and I do mine, because when you're on TikTok, whatever videos you interact with, so that might be, you know, some of these videos are 60 seconds, 15 seconds, or 3 minutes long. If you're on there for watching that video for its period of time, or if you interact with it, if you comment with it, if you share it, if you send it on, you know, if you save it, then the algorithm will go, oh, this person likes this sort of video, so it will show more and more of that sort of stuff to you and what it deems to be suitable for your For You page. So if you ever really want to know someone, listeners and viewers, if you ever really want to know someone and you think, he or she, they seem all right then, and they'll never do it, but just say, can I have a look at your For You page on TikTok? And you have a look at their For You page and you see what videos are on there. You see what things that algorithm's showing to you and you go, I didn't know you were into that.
Interesting kink.
Yeah. But TikTok's great because you can learn also. I mean, my For You page is space.
Yeah.
Web3 stuff. Cars.
Yeah.
Various.
Motivation.
Yeah, lots of motivational videos. Various pet and cat and dog ones, and then other things that I don't really want to mention. But there's that's most of my For You page. But I've moved other than WhatsApp, which is a great social platform, because I think most people use WhatsApp and businesses use. I mean, we run our business, don't we, Sharon, on WhatsApp?
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't really use anything else. I don't
Instagram.
really. But Instagram. If I'm honest with you, Instagram feels quite dated, and so does Facebook. Facebook's like the place where your mum goes.
Yeah, and I use Instagram for business, but I don't think it is really a place for business at all, really. I've never had a lead through there. The people that tend to follow my account are potentially competitors. They're not really
of course they
customers.
Are, yeah.
So actually, I think for me, it's been LinkedIn. But yeah, I do really like TikTok, and that's quite a new thing. And for ages, it was only young people would be on it and all the TikTok dancing. But now it's grown. It's different now, isn't it?
I think we've been able to win engagement, which you can't. I mean, you'll never be able to arguably put pounds and pence on it for us, but I could argue that we've won a lot of engagement with our clients, which has led to more business as a result of using that read-write technology within Web 2, i.e. TikTok. So something very dry as a technology install. And I don't mean like quantum computers or anything like that. I'm on about like IoT sensors and an energy management system. Most people go, oh, God, what's that? But when you got a bit of Prince going, yeah, woo, dude,
And the customer dancing.
yeah, and customers giving it a little jig and all that lot, and then dancing about, and then you put funny effects on it and talking and things like that. You can take such a dry subject, make it quite engaging, and then push that out, and people go, well, actually, these guys are a bit different. And that was the joy of Web 2, which it's very much still in at the moment, but we're moving now. We're moving beyond. We're going to the gargantuan. We're on the edge of that. And I'm using interstellar references here in terms of a black hole, because we're literally about to get sucked into a black hole. And what's on the other side of that? Potentially everything we could ever want and more, both good and bad. Because we are moving into Web 3.0. And this is where we move from read to read write to now read write own. But it's not just about ownership. It's about decentralization. So you have in Web 2, forget Web 1 at the moment, let's talk about Web 2. You have in Web 2 walled silos, don't you? You've got Google, you've got Meta now, or Facebook, you've got Apple, you've got Samsung, you've got all these different, you've got Android, you've got iOS. All these platforms are quite siloed, difficult to integrate and cross over. Now, the utopia within Web3 is that it is decentralized, it's owned by no one, apart from all of us, if that makes any sense. It is secure, it is safe, but it is also interplanetary in terms of its platform crossover. Now, you might be sat there thinking, well, what does that mean? I don't get it, because I've heard all this stuff around Web3, and I've heard all this stuff around what does it mean and how does it work. So I'm going to talk about it in our world context. So I can't talk about it in your world if you're watching this and you're a telecoms business or you're a marketing business. I can bring it to life for us, especially within Sharon's world. But I'm just going to talk about it from our point of view, and obviously Sharon's going to accompany me on that journey, and then enjoy the ride, and then also correct me when I say a lot of things wrong. So because where we are at the moment is, and we're seeing it out with Sharon in our world is, you've got our business, which is a digital FM, and our job is to maintain the physical world. So your AC, your plant equipment and all that lot. But because we're a digital FM, we want to be able to put IoT sensors in there to optimize your business, which is great. Now, that's the now. And on the slide, for those of you that can't see it, there's like a graph going up the page, and they're sort of like split into two of what's the now and what is the utopia. The now is physical maintenance and IoT sensors. And the now is a very, very busy space. There's a lot of competition in there. There's a lot of people in there. There's a lot of good, but there's also a lot of crap. Now, the now is so important because you need that data from those IoT sensors to feed the utopia. Now, what is the utopia? The utopia is a digital twin of the world. I'll say that again, a digital twin of the world, but it can interact and connect with each other. So take where Sharon sat now. You can argue that within Sharon's room, there's maybe an AC unit or there's all sorts of different things. I could put my VR headset on, go into Sharon's meeting room digitally, change some settings in that digital world, which would ultimately change the settings in real life. But then also, I could put my AR glasses on, Sharon could put her AR glasses on as well, and I could be sat right side of you, and we can interact and we can change things and we can talk as if I'm actually there. One of the things that I get really excited about this, Sharon, is you take all that data from all those sensors, all those IoT sensors, and you start to visualize what's going on in the real world, in the digital world. But then when you overlay artificial intelligence and quantum computers, then this is where it starts to get really scary, in terms of the potential of this?
Well, I was trying to think of this from a very basic, like, I'm not an engineer. I'm not going to go out to a boiler. But what I do have is I've got a car out there that if I needed to mess around under the bonnet, I'd have no clue. But if someone handed me a pair of AR glasses and a software system that showed me, okay, unscrew this with this particular tool, and someone could talk me through, no, tighter, no, do it the other, no, you're going the wrong way, Sharon, lefty, loosey, righty, tighty, all that stuff. Yeah. Open it up, okay, yep, change this, change that, no, you need to reconnect that. And actually, when I looked through the glasses, I could see not just what's physically there, but instructions or all of these, because when you look under my bonnet, it's just black. There's no
just stuff.
You know, like some cars have got very obvious, there's this yellow, this yellow, this yellow. So you go, okay, from a user point of view, I check this, I check all the other things. There's the oil, blah, blah. There's not even what's it called? The oil.
Dipstick.
There's not even a dipstick in my car, which completely threw me to start with. It's all electric. So if you look under the bonnet, there's no clue. So me as a complete novice looking there. But if I had all this software that just blew it all up and like took it all back down and turned it round, and actually someone could physically talk to me through it, that would really change everything. I wouldn't have to go to a mechanic. I could do it myself.
And just so everybody's clear, Sharon wasn't saying it's electric as in she's got an electric car. She means it's electric because she's got an M3, but the dipstick is electric. I just do people going, of course I ain't got a dipstick, love, it's an electric car. And she means the dipstick's electric, not the car's electric. But yeah, so exactly. So you could be stood there and you could do it in two ways, couldn't you? So you could look at your engine and it would say, well, you plug in your diagnostics machine and it would come up with a load of things to say, right, it's got fault this. And these are the things you require to fix it. So go get your things, screwdrivers, whatever. Right. You got two options here. You can either do it yourself, or you can do it yourself with a hologram stood there. So you could have a BMW technician appear at the side of you, and no one else can see or hear him or her. Only you can, and they will point you through and walk you through step by step of what to do. So you're doing it in the physical world, but they're doing it in the digital world, but also it's physical. So this, and when you start to overlay the power of, artificial intelligence and quantum computing. I'm just reading a book about Alan Turing at the moment. You know, the guy that cracked the Enigma machines, mathematician. I think it's called Quantum Computing with Cats is the book. Apparently it's supposed to be a digestible version of how you learn about quantum computers. So I'm giving it a go to learn about it. Fascinating, more so because it starts right at the beginning of how the Enigma machines worked for the Nazis, and that's in terms of cryptography and encryption and code cracking, which ultimately led to where we are now. But I'm not there yet in the book. But what it's talking about around quantum computing, I mean, it even says that when quantum computing gets their full potential, you're talking teleportation here, which is insane. And let's not talk about air because we'll get bogged down on that. But when you've got AI taking all that data, let's say from Sharon's car or from a boiler room or whatever, that AI will be able to come up with weird and wonderful ways of how to optimize that equipment that you will never, ever, ever have imagined. But it will be ultimately the best it can be with the variables that are available. But then this is where I think if you've seen anything from Elon Musk, he gets very animated, doesn't he, around AI, rogue AIs, and I think the
danger.
Well, yeah, if you said to a sentient and AI, get rid of spam email. I mean, it's a very simple command. That AI could go, well, where does spam email come from? Oh, it comes from humans. And then we've got Arnold Schwarzenegger knocking about everywhere, going Sarah Connor. And we've got a Skynet situation. Everybody's getting capped off left, right, and centre because we're sending spam emails. But when you overlay that data, powered by quantum computers, backed up by the blockchain, which we'll get into, in terms of security and instant transactions and trust being gained straight away, incentivized by cryptocurrencies, then you look at your business now, and as long as your name isn't ending in Zuckerberg or Page for Google or Musk or Cook for Tim in Apple, Tim, like I know him, you're probably still in the now. Whereas those guys are very much moving well up the chain, the hierarchy chain in the utopia. AR, VR. I mean, look at the investment that's going on with AR and VR at the moment. The amount of money that's getting pumped into this. We've seen, Apple are going to release their mixed reality glasses, which is AR and VR. So
this
you
year.
won't have, well, 2023. I said, I think they're $1,000, which means it'll be £1,000 for us. But they're going beyond just having a set of hardware for AR and VR. They want MR, mixed reality, which the hardware at the moment just doesn't work though, does it? Because if you're walking around with an Oculus Quest on, it's quite uncomfortable.
Yeah, I find for me, because I've got quite a small head, I find it very heavy. And the problem is when it moves down, it then goes blurry. But I took my youngest to a VR shop in up in the city a couple of days ago, and I was really interested to just find out what kind of stuff they do. And they had lots of different games. One of them was like a big kind of white gun, and my son had the headset on, and through it he could shoot all these robots and power up the systems next to him. And he literally I could see everything he could see. And when he came off, he literally went, wow, that was amazing. And then we went on to a VR kind of ride where we were swimming with sharks. And it was just amazing because, I mean, you go to the cinema and everything, you have these amazing kind of experiences, but those where you can do a complete 360 with a headset on, it really is so immersive. It takes you to a whole different place.
Well, they say that in time, when you put on your glasses or your contact lenses, or maybe even we've got something that Elon Musk is inventing, that neural link thing, where we don't necessarily need to wear glasses or anything like that, because of the power of these engines being backed up by quantum computers with the data and AI. Your brain will not be able to distinguish between what is real and what isn't. So you could run multiple scenarios. So let's say, for example, you go for an interview, and you go for that interview, and it doesn't go quite well. And you go, oh, God, that didn't go as well as I thought. Okay, let's go back. Let's get into my world, my metaverse world. Let's go into Sharon's metaverse world. Right, Mr. or Mrs. AI, my personal AI, help me work through some scenarios there. So what your AI will do is it will look at the person that was interviewing you. It will know within reason where that person lives, what the demographic type is of individual, what the educational background of that individual, what someone is like that works at that company, and various other metrics. But it will make scenarios up. So if I said this to that question, what would that person more likely to have said to that question? And then you go down that route. And you should imagine these scenarios can run in the thousands. But that's just for an interview. What if you could do it through, battleground techniques, or dancing, or gaming, or driving, or everything? It feels so real.
I think we've got airport firefighters next door, and I was thinking about this for them, to try to find a way to fight a fire on an aircraft. Obviously, they have the physical ones you see on every airport where they're all black and grey, where they've burnt them, and it's an old aircraft. But actually, to physically go through that and put their bodies through it and everything they've got to do and work through all those scenarios, being able to do that in an AR world, from a safety point of view and a cost point of view, that training can really prepare them so much easier than actually having to physically set life to aircraft.
Exactly, and it's I'm going to ask this question, but I pretty much know the answer. Have you ever seen any of the Black Mirrors series? Right, okay. So this is where it will get fascinating. From you think there's an episode on there where it's the guy wears a little cookie. It's like a little, looks like a little mint that you put behind your ear. It interconnects with your neural network and then puts you in scenarios. But is very real, feels very real. So so what this is, it's basically a haunted house, or a house he goes into. But because of the neural connection, what that will do is it will scan your brain for everything that terrifies you and manifest them.
Oh, wow.
So it feels real. They can't physically touch you. Well, they do in this Black Mirror episode eventually, but in when it first starts off, it's just scary, but it's your fears manifested in your way, acting in a way that you find most scary, is phenomenal and terrifying. Now you could flip that on its head, and from a pleasure point of view, but also from a engagement, educational point of view. I mean, learning about the D-Day landings, you could put that on and you could be on the beach as if it was real, because all that data exists from actual footage of the day, voice testimonies, bullets fired, bullet strikes on the turrets, everything. The AI will be able to scan all that information and build a simulation with a quantum computer that will feel like you are actually there on the D-Day landings on that day. So imagine that from an educational point of view.
That's so powerful, isn't it? Imagine if you're doing a history lesson and you can really bring it to life for kids. That's going to really think about if you were doing, I don't know, learning French or something, and you're a boring French lesson, learning, I don't know, nouns or something, and they go, actually, let's flick over to, we're now walking around the Eiffel Tower. We're still going to learn nouns, but we're doing it as if we're there. That completely is going to switch on a lot of children. That engagement level is going to go through the roof.
But you can see, take that through as well. You know, if you're learning French, learning it in a classroom environment is not great. But let's say, right, we're going to go with Napoleon here while he was extradited and he's come back, which then ultimately led to the Battle of Waterloo. Let's watch his passionate speech to the people to rally them again, to put him back in power, listening to his words, but seeing how his words are being articulated, seeing the impact that it has on the people. And then getting him to say his classic line of putting his iron fist in a velvet glove. You know, stuff like that will bring it so much more to life for people than reading it on a textbook. I mean, it's going to be... I mean, for example, so someone said to me, you know, how does this work? And I read a chapter in a book called The Spatial Web. We both read it, haven't we? Fantastic book. Highly recommend it if you want to learn anything about Web3. Spatial Web. I can't remember the name of the authors, but I'm sure Sharon will probably just ring them off. But these guys are great. But one of the things that they said is, you know, from a consumer point of view, bring it to life for me, Mark. Right, okay, so imagine you're going to Primark in the UK, for example, and you've got your glasses on, or whatever device you're using to see the digital world, the metaverse. You will look at a mannequin, and that mannequin will change to your height, your body size, but it will put on that mannequin various pieces of clothing that are available in that store, so you'll be able to see which looks good and which doesn't look good. Now, me and Sharon might be looking at the same mannequin. Sharon's going to see herself, I'm going to see me. You know, that for me is a great representation of how powerful this could be, because one of the things that I was thinking about is I can imagine it could get very noisy if you don't close off. It could be a bit like spam, wouldn't it? And if you're walking around, you've constantly got AR tags talking at you through your glasses. You're going to be going, who am I talking to here? What am I doing? I mean, it's going to get really, really busy. But, I mean, you've got kids, Sharon. I've got a kid. I'm sure they play Fortnite. I'm sure they play Roblox.
Constantly.
And this is why this for me is really important, because I'm still young enough. I grew up with gaming. You know, I played Atari. You know, we did a podcast on it, didn't we? PlayStation and all that lot. But my child is 7, so he's only just started to really get into gaming. Probably the last year, he started off with Minecraft entry level. He hasn't got to Fortnite yet, but now he's really into Roblox, like next level Roblox into it. And obviously, to buy anything in Roblox, you need Robux. But Robux, how do you buy that? You buy that with real money. Now, your kids will be playing this. Those of you watching it, your kids that play this, if they understand this, they understand Web3, they understand NFTs, they understand the metaverse. Because Roblox is a metaverse. And you can buy things, or you're going to be able to buy things within Roblox that is a one of one, which is an NFT, non-fungible token, which means it's unique. Which means it's unique, which means it's your IP, which means it can't be used anywhere else. Now, the argument is that it should be able to be cross-platformed. You could wear your skin in Roblox, but then move into Fortnite and wear the same thing. There's a lot of debate at the moment around if that will ever be possible in terms of these platforms opening themselves up to that way. Hopefully, you know, the will of the people and people pushing for Web3 to be decentralized and not owned by big tech will get that way, but we don't know. But your kids understand this, and the jobs that are going to be created in the future that don't exist yet, your kids will be doing. They will live, they will work, and they will earn in the metaverse. I will bet my mortgage on it because it is already happening. People are already earning money in this way, and it will get more. It will be like a virus in a good way, debatable, in a good way, pushed out across the economic space, and trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars of value will be unlocked. Take, for example, 3D models. If you're everything we've got, our phones, your car, these laptops, everything was designed with a 3D model, wasn't it? So there'll be some sort of computer-generated model where it'll go through the design phases and they'll change it. And most of those models are offline. What if you could create those models and put them online? You could then start to, for those people that own those models, unlock value, sell those models as NFTs, and then unlock even more value to be able to help build the metaverse. Because this is the whole point of it, isn't it, Sharon? Is that it shouldn't be owned by one person or one company. It's all of us that are going to have a part to play in this.
Well, if you think about it from a airport point of view, so if I own an airport, say, well, I'm on an airport now, Cranfield, but if I was on like London Luton Airport, for example, if I designed that and I had the blueprint for that airport, which I then had made as a 3D model, which then I built from. When I'm building it, I can use that 3D model before I've built it to talk to my key stakeholders, there would be lots if I was building an airport. You can imagine the world and his wife would want to have their nose in that. I could go, okay, if I change this or I move this, I put the tower here, or I put the radars there, or I put this stand there, what does that do? Which would really help people understand it rather than all the aggro you get after you've built it. But also once I've built this, I've then got that 3D model, which I could put in the metaverse. And other people can use it for different things. Like, okay, so we need to put in some new fuel station. We're moving from normal aviation fuel to hydrogen cells, for instance. Where are we going to do that? Where's it safe to do? And have that whole conversation through that digital, rather than have to everybody physically drive there. Or you've got passenger optimization. There's so many things you can do once you link it all together, exactly as you say. Plus, if you then want to do a bolt on, we're going to add more on. From a construction point of view, it's amazing what you can do once you've got those models. And
you're only limited because you could, once you've got that model, if you think about those scenarios, as you said, you can change a few, you can do this, but again, put on that AI intelligence level, that will take an airport of today with the materials that have been built with today, and that will go, well, if we built it in this way, or if we changed it in that way, we could do this and we could do that, and we can increase passenger flow through by 80%. We could increase customer engagement by 60%, and we could do. The AI will do a lot of the thinking in the simulated world, but because it's using real data in a simulated world, which is just as real as the real world, and then you follow that plan into the real world down to the screw. And this is why, you use that BMW example. People will build these with their various classes on, like Lego. So that screw goes in there, that screw goes in there. So your stop and go criteria on a construction site will be seamless. Payments will be seamless because they'll be backed up by the blockchain, and they'll be instantaneous through smart contracts, because you know that these hurdles are being met instantaneously because of the plan that's being built. And the AR version will mimic the real world version, but also it will be accurate down to the final door, the final screw, the final seat. Everything will be as planned and specified and on budget. Now, I know that's people will listen to this going, give over. No.
Yeah, but imagine if you were building a hotel, or you had a construction firm coming in and building your hotel. It's definitely going to take ages, much longer than it would have done, or this is what it's going to be like now. The only way to know how that construction firm are doing is to drive there physically and stand over them and watch them and go, well, how long do you think it's going to take now? How long are you going to think it's? But if you had that model and it changed as the real physical one did, and you could see what the new date of completion, which means the new hotel opening date would be, you could, much more agile than we can be today.
Well, they have stop-go on construction sites. I was on one earlier this week. So they'll get to a certain point where work is to be completed. Then they'll stop. The work will need to be inspected, signed off, and then they'll go again. Now, there is no reason why that can't be instantaneous. Instantaneous. So it's a red light, it's a green light, keep going. Because the system is being able to work out that you've met the variables that have been set within that smart contract for you to be able to hit that stop-go hurdle, and off you go again. How much speeded up will that be from an erectification of a building or whatever it might be? And how much money will be saved in terms of efficiencies? But they'll be building them in the most efficient and sustainable ways that is possible with the technology available at the time.
Yeah, and if you come across something like, oh, we found a well underneath the hotel that we didn't know was going to happen. Right, okay, so what's the scenarios? What can we do to this? What will this throw the timelines out? What do we need to do? How can we change it?
Yeah.
You can do that in the moment rather than having to figure it out by ringing everybody and trying to panic.
Well, it's you talk about hotels. It's fascinating, isn't it? Because if I was a hotelier at the moment, I'd be thinking and going, is there a way that we can really bring this to life for our guests? Now, depending on what sort of market you're positioned in terms of your hotel, but I'd be looking at going, can I have some sort of VR glasses or something in the rooms? So if I'm a traveling businessman or woman and I'm coming to London for the first time, or I'm coming from overseas, can I put these glasses on and actually go walking from my hotel out into Soho and just see what it's like, and then go do it in the physical world?
Yeah.
There's no reason why you can't do these things.
It's interesting that we're talking about Roblox there, and that kind of connection with the hotel and that kind of experience. So I've built a hotel in Roblox world with the help of both my children, and it means that if I actually owned that hotel or a copy of that hotel in real life, I'd be able to say to a hotel guest booking on, Mark, what kind of room would you like? Would you like this one? Have a quick look round. Or would you like this one? This one's got this view. This one's got this view. And you could physically stand there and go, no, I want this. Especially if you were disabled, you need a wider room, or physically being there rather than looking at a picture would make all the difference.
Well, exactly. And I remember my time when I worked in Premier Inn. So when they're designing new hotel concepts, they actually build out rooms so people can stay into them. And you're limited in terms of the cash availability to that. So again, think about this. When you to the point where your brain can't really distinguish what's real and what isn't, you could build out hundreds of rooms in terms of what a hotel could look like, what a guest could enjoy. You test them on a wider market, find out which ones people like the most, and then you build them in the physical world, and they're getting exactly what they thought they were going to get in the VR, AR world. Wow. I mean, from a customer engagement, information gathering, optimization of a product or service, it's phenomenal.
Well, you've set expectations really clearly. The customer knows they're going to walk in and this is what they're going to get, but now it's in the physical world once they actually physically arrive at the hotel. So much less complaints.
Exactly. And for the listeners, you might not be able to see this, but I've changed the screen now, and we've got 6 things happening here, and it's just what are other people doing around NFTs, Metaverse, engagement with clients. And we've got, Ralph Lauren, Nike, and Nike jumping into the Metaverse via Roblox. So I've and I know you have as well, Sharon. I've gone to visit their store in Roblox and engaged. If I wanted to, I could have bought some Robux with actual money, and then bought a nice polo jacket virtual for my avatar, and then taken that avatar across various different games. You've got Walmart. They're designing it so you will go shopping in VR, but the actual physical food will turn up at your door. So instead of sitting there on your phone and scrolling through it, you can actually go to the store and walk around. But it's exactly the same as the store that's there. Now, you might be going, well, why would I want to do that? But it's the engagement. It's the ability to be able to touch and feel within reason, if they get the haptic gloves and everything right, touch and feel products and bring them out of the digital world into the real world. I mean, the Walmart one, it'd be interesting to see how that takes off, because I'm only speaking from me personally. I couldn't think of anything worse of walking around a supermarket in a virtual reality world. But if they gamify it in some way and make it engaging, maybe.
I think where this will be useful is if you watch that video, it's online, guys. If you're watching this, if you watch that video, because it's connected through all the other digital devices in your house or in your world, it tells you things like, oh, you put milk in your trolley. Oh, hang on, you've still got 2 cartons of milk at home in your smart fridge. So you go, oh, okay. Rather than getting home and going, oh, I've already got milk.
Yeah. Or I haven't got, or you're going to go check out, hang on, I've noticed in your smart cupboard you haven't got X.
Exactly. And how many times have you bought, I don't know, you thought you bought a bunch of bananas, but what actually turns up is 1 banana or 1 tomato? Things like that won't happen because you can physically see that you're adding it and what it looks like to your cart.
And obviously this is where the hardware stuff comes into it, because you need to have smart fridges, you need to have, but if you think about IoT devices in the future, and I don't mean future as in like 10 years from now, in the very near future, if they're not being done already, everything will talk in some way and create data. So your cupboards will create data, your washing machine, your car, your fridge, everything in your house will talk, which to Sharon's point, if you're then going to go shopping, it will know what is you've had before, what you don't want, what you don't like, what you don't currently order. Again, obviously the reason why they're doing this is to increase the share of your wallet they get. I mean, let's not be foolish here. But if you're getting what you want and you're getting a great experience for it, does it really matter?
Yeah.
I don't know. Debate.
If it's all connected up to your calendar and everything, it says, oh, you've got the in-laws coming at the weekend, you want to buy extra cakes, or all that stuff is going to make your life easier.
Yeah. And you've got Snoop Dogg. He's now doing concerts in the Metaverse, in the sandbox. You can buy those as well to go to his concerts. Nike obviously doing personalized trainers, again through NFTs for your avatar. I did like this one with a Porsche, so I can go and stand on my driveway through my phone and see what that Porsche should actually look like on my drive, and then I can spec it up and change the wheels, change the color. I liked that. I really did. And then if I liked it, I could click, if I had the cash, order, and then boom, I could get that Porsche ordered and then see what it'd look like for real on the drive. I like that. And then obviously Gary Vee, he's if you don't know him, he's pushing the NFTs quite a lot at the moment, but he does speak quite passionately around don't get FOMO. It is a bubble, but I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But he uses utility NFTs, which is about access. So he will sell his NFTs, and attached to that smart contract will be every time he does a face-to-face talk where there's an audience, you will get front row tickets every time because you bought the NFT as part of that smart contract. You get access to him. You get access to influence. So if you think about that from a utility NFT point of view, what have you got? What can you do for your clients or potential clients if they buy an asset from you digitally that they can then draw down on in the different ways? I mean, you're only limited here by your imagination. And obviously, we spent some time, haven't we, in this metaverse world? Horizon Worlds is coming out soon, again from Meta. It's still under beta version, I believe, at the moment, but they've taken away a load of feedback from potential from people that used it. But Horizon Meetings is very real and out there. I mean, I what did you think of that, Sharon?
Yeah, so just for those people that can't see what we've got on the screen, Siri.
Sorry, my watch is getting excited again.
So what we've got on the screen here is, I don't know, four pictures. But what we did is, if you can imagine, myself and Mark work 150 miles apart. But actually, we're on the same team, and there's times when we want to watch a presentation, practice a presentation, or just have a meeting about the next strategy we're coming up for the company. So to be next to each other and discuss that is something that's much more helpful than having to do a old-fashioned telephone call or Zoom or whatever. So we had a go at using the Metaverse meeting room. And what we did here was I set up a digital meeting room, which you can see my branding there, MKLCX, if you can see it. You can change that branding to anything you like. But it looks like when you had the VR headset on, like you're in a physical meeting room like I'm in today. I can see a meeting room, but it's virtual. You can set your avatar. So I've picked a more glamorous version than myself. Mark had his own VR headset on. And our colleague John, he didn't have a headset, but he joined us straight through a connection, so you can see him on the video there, so he can see through his screen.
He's on the plasma TV in the corner.
Yes,
So it's like if you're in a physical room, two of you are there and another person's dialed in, but
Yeah.
no one's there real. It's just that our avatars are there and he's dialed into the meeting room.
Yeah, and if you can see this on the left hand side, there's an image of Mark, and I took this picture through my headset, so I'm looking at his avatar through my headset, and it looks like I can physically see his cartoonized face. And when he speaks, I can see all of his expressions. I can see his face moving back and forth. If he was in disagreement about something I said or was excited about something I said when we were presenting, I would be able to see that on his face. In a much more more lifelike way than just watching it through a video. You can see in the middle we've got the whiteboard. Both of us can write on the whiteboard at the same time, so great for collaboration. And at the top, I'm standing there presenting. So I've taken a presentation that I've already built in PowerPoint or whatever. I'm presenting it through my laptop into our digital meeting room and showing that presentation to my colleagues. I'm standing there pointing. My avatar is. So it feels to Mark, who sat at the digital meeting room space, that he's watching me present, even though I'm miles away. And John can see all this too. So it's a fascinating way, and very different, but I found it really good to actually be next to you, in inverted commas, and still have the same interaction that we would in a normal professional meeting, but with more value than we'd have if we were having to do it remotely.
But we said, didn't we, afterwards, that it genuinely felt like we'd seen each other that day.
Which is great.
It's fascinating how the brain works. But when you're looking at someone's avatar and they sound and they look like that person and they're moving in the way that they are talking, take the fact that you haven't got any legs. I mean, you don't have any legs as your avatar in Horizon Meetings or Horizon Worlds. And I get that, because how can they mimic your leg movement? They can't. They just hang there, wouldn't they? They haven't got sensors like on the Oculus Quest to be able to move your head and your hands, because the cameras pick up on your hands, but they can't pick up on your legs, especially if you sat under a desk. They just flap around behind you. So I get the reason why they haven't done any legs. But this is... if we're being honest, it was a little bit clunky to begin with. It took a little bit of faffing about to set it up because it is so new. I don't think it's quite there yet from a seamless log on, right, boom, you're in a meeting like in a Zoom or anything like that. But don't be fooled, it will get there. There's a couple of things we're going to do, aren't we? We're going to do a podcast episode like this from the Meta. And we've got a big presentation coming up over the next few weeks. We're going to edit that pack, but we're also going to do the presentation in the Meta and film it and then broadcast that out to the world as well, because the point of all this is that the world is going to 3.0. It is, and it's happening, and it's going to happen quick, very quick, and you will see more and more conversations creeping into your business world, whichever business you're in. Your staff will start to know about it. They'll be asking questions, and if you're a big boy, or if you're coming up in the business world, your competitors, if they're not looking at this, great for you. If they are looking at this, what are you doing? Because we likened it, didn't we, the other day, to being on a train.
Yeah.
You look at the sectors, look at construction, look at FM, look at retail, look at that. Retail are getting there a little bit quicker. But if you take construction or FM, you're on the train, the track hasn't been laid yet. Who knows where that's going to go? And if you're bold enough to get out there and get after it, from an engagement, from an efficiency point of view, from a, my God, for making yourself sticky with your clients and nobody else being able to touch you, you are very lucky to be in a position where you're running a business and maybe you've got some nice liquidity behind you to explore this, because you have got an opportunity now to do something that hasn't shown itself available since 2004. Now, if you don't do anything with that and you fast forward to 2030 and your competitors have overtaken you, or maybe a newcomer's come on the scene and absolutely smashed you to smithereens, shame on you, because you haven't heeded the warnings, but also you haven't seen the opportunity here to get after it. So get after it. Don't be scared. Take your time. Only risk what you're prepared to lose. I think that's more important in regards to investment in this. But some of you big boys out there, you FTSE 100s, if you can't carve off 100k to start building out the metaverse version for you and exploring it, that's not money well spent wherever else that goes. That needs to go on this. I mean, I know I can be a bit forceful, Sharon, but I'm sure you can.
Well, I would just,
there.
I would just say we are heading in this direction. We're going on this journey. We've had to go on this journey. This is brand new. Mark and I and John have all had to learn this stuff from scratch, get our heads around it very quickly. We can help you guys do the same. This is what these podcasts are about. We're going to be talking much more about this. We have a whole customer experience point to our business that is there for the human factor to help you understand how to get on that train and lay those tracks. So come along with us.
Yeah, and what will be happening soon is there'll be a White Pumpkin event in the Metaverse some point soon. But more of that to come. We've been talking for an hour. I think that's long enough. I mean, I could keep going, to be honest, about the importance of this, but let's piecemeal it because, as Sharon says, for us, we're lucky enough to be an agile business that we can pivot and change and move with this. And I appreciate that maybe some of you big old titans out there that are a bit like oil tankers take a long time to turn. That's fine. That is absolutely fine. But you need to start really looking at this and taking it serious because, as I said, you've been handed a fantastic opportunity here. Don't listen to the hype. There's a lot of hype. There's a big, I would suggest there's a big bubble happening with NFTs. But like in 2000 with a bubble, when that burst, doesn't mean that we weren't left with the internet, without the internet. And it'll be the same with this. Smart contracts, blockchain, NFTs, cryptocurrencies, they'll still be around when the NFT bubble finally bursts or deflates slowly. Who knows? But yeah. Should we leave it there, Sharon?
Yes. Thank you. Excellent.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.